Well, it looks like today's the day. Welcome back to another episode of A Tanker's View with me, your average tanker, Tony. This week, I'm going to channel my inner 5-year-old. Forget my spelling and grammar, completely color outside those lines, and we're going to look at some Ork war machines. I'll be honest with you, I've got really no idea how I'm going to do this. For those of you familiar with the franchise, you know exactly why codifying Ork war machines is a nigh impossible task. So, this round, I'm just going to focus on Ork war machines that are actually in the lore. Nothing looted. But before I begin my Sisyphean task, I would like to thank my very first patron, Terry Higgins. Can I get a round of applause? Thank you very much, Terry, for supporting the channel, and thank all of you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and writing some comments down below to help me out in the algorithm. You can also catch me on Odyssey, Rumble, and check out my Patreon as well. And with all of that, guys, again, always thank you for watching. For those of you who don't know anything about 40k or Orks, I've got no idea why you clicked on this video. I suck at making thumbnails, but seriously, allow me to give you the TLDR about Orks and their culture, as the kids say. Cue the timer on this one. Orks are a sapient fungoid race created by the Old Ones during the War in Heaven for the express purpose of beating the ever-living piss out of anything they want, whenever they want. They possess an innate intelligence, but also a collective psychic potential that literally powers everything they make or do. From pain boys sewing the head of a war boss back on to bring them back to life, to mech boys getting more horsepower out of a battle wagon by painting it with rad colors and putting flames over the wheels. You know, every 16-year-old with a Honda Civic's fantasy. They are powered by the pure collective willpower and a desire to beat your ass harder and be more obnoxious than an 80s high school antagonist. Finally, in conclusion, Orks are what happens when you crossbreed an Australian with Florida man, taken to its absolute natural evolutionary conclusion if you were to snort, smoke, and swallow every hard drug known to mankind during the pregnancy. So, carrying on. I'm going to start with not the Ork vehicles, but more of a demonstration of Ork thinking. Say hello to the Storm Boys! Just look at them, will ya? Flying with the little Acme rockets. This is what happens when G-Dubs want to channel its inner Wile E. Coyote. It gets these boys to strap a literal Acme rocket to their ass and fire themselves pell-mell straight into the crumpin' humies. Or them pointy-eared dandies. This absolutely personifies Ork mentality. They will slap together whatever they think will work as long as it gets them crumpin' faster. So I had originally written this all talking like an Ork during the script, but it turns out I actually can't do a Cockney accent worth a shit, and I just sound like a southern auctioneer. So I'm just going to translate what I wrote down into English and hopefully it comes across okay. Let's carry on, shall we? So getting on with it, I'm going to start with the smallest boys right up to the biggest gargant. First up is going to be the Killacan. Mech boys and pain boys start by building these speedy little boys, and then they shove a grot inside to power it up. This makes them big mad and big fast. And they can easily take down the tiny little humies in their strider walkers with the tall smoky legs. With choppers, grabbas, blastas, and this tanky little git will stomp the guts out of those squishy little humies. I don't know where to start with this. You know what? So I'm just going to wait till the very end to make fun of these things and start dropping one-liners like crack rocks and bum fights. How's that for some deep internet lore?
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit!
So next up after the Killacan is the Death Dread, the Ork equivalent of the Astartes Dreadnought. But unlike the Astartes Dreadnought, all the participants are volunteers. Because of course who wouldn't want to be the biggest, the baddest, and the most stompy. So these ones, instead of 2 arms like the Killacan, they got 4 arms for more crumpin' power and more DACA than the puny killer can. So when the boys no longer want to walk like the lazy gits they are, they're all going to pile into their speedsters and their battle wagons. And they are exactly what they sound like. It's a wheel or a tracked vehicle cobbled together. Wheels or tracks, it doesn't matter. There's no plan, no STC. They just slap it together, believe and see. It can be as crude as a creep van with a few rusty plate steel covering it and a few shooters sticking out the side, right up to a half-assed battle tank. And if I want to be completely creatively bankrupt here, I'm just going to quote the 40k wiki article, because whoever wrote this did a better job than I did.
Yes, definitely!
Ork battle wagons rumble into war on a collection of tires, tracks, and massive spiked rollers. Whether a lumbering gun fortress, bright red speedsters, or gaudy rust buckets covered with Ork glyphs, battle wagons are massive slabs of motorized junk built to carry big mobs of greenskins into battle. No matter a battle wagon's individual peculiarities, all fulfill the essential role of an attacked armored vehicle for Ork forces. Simple, succinct, and to the point. That pretty much covers all the tiny boys. Now we're going to focus on the big boys. The Stompa, the Gargant, and the Mega Gargant. We're going to depart from Mad Max straight into literal mountains of moving scrap metal covered in guns. Now what defines the difference between the first two is how much shit they can pile sky high before it falls over. It moves on stumpy piston-driven legs, and shuffling, stomping, there's skittering, there's really no way to describe it. So here's a quick video of a child's toy. Now, the only limiting factor is essentially how many orcs are in the WAAAAAAAAAGH, and the materials they can get their hands on. More orcs, more bigger, more crumping, more better. Simple as, that's just orc science. And finally, the Mega Gargant, which is a literal mountain of scrap metal the size of an Imperator Titan, with the only difference really being tracks, not feet. So I guess it makes it a little more stable, but still just a giant moving mountain of scrap metal. So that's going to be all for this week, you absolute legends. If you made it this far, I absolutely adore you. Orcs make the least amount and the most amount of sense in the actual grim dark of the far Florida. But by the holy god emperor, are they the most fun faction to play. It's just no rules, just complete and utter abandon and chaos. Gotta love it. So again, if you liked my content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite Orc war machine is. And I will see you absolute legends next time. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one. Forgive me, God Emperor, for what I'm about to do. So, getting on with it. We're going to start from the smallest boys up to the big Gargant. First up is the Killer Cam. Mech boys and Pain boys build one of these speedy boys and shoves a grot right inside. I cannot do a fucking Cockney accent. Nope.